A few days ago, I put out a post saying, what new games do you want me to play or review or take a look at? And a few of them said Valheim, and this was a game that I'd never heard of. So I searched it up on Steam, and it'd been out for a few days, and already it had like 4,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews. But I ignored it for now, and then the next day I saw a post on how it was one of the most played games on Steam, and I went on Steam charts, and it was in the top 10 most played games after only a few days. So I thought, right, I've got to try out Valheim. So I did. Oh my god. Valheim is a brutal exploration and survival game for 1 to 10 players. It's set in a procedurally generated purgatory inspired by Viking culture. Battle, build, and conquer your way to a saga worthy of Odin's patronage. The game is, of course, as it mentions, inspired by Vikings, but it's very much focused around the mythological side. There is not much here for if someone's a fan of historical realism. However, I don't think that matters in this game, because that's not what it's going for. This is going for those sagas of old, to recreate those stories and even create some of your own, fighting different bosses into different places, exploring new realms, and making your way across the open oceans in rafts and boats that you have built yourself. The game offers so much for a single player experience, but especially a multiplayer or co-op experience. You can have up to 10 people on it, and I was playing with 3 other people, and it was a lot of fun. It does pretty much the standard of what survival games do at its base layer. You can group together and find a good place to settle, building little huts, putting beds in, having fireplaces to cook your food, then eventually building bigger houses into towns and building palisade walls for defense around the edges, because you will get attacked in the night time. There are so many different enemies, and they're so fascinatingly designed. You have the Greylings, that are some weird looking goblin creatures. You have skeletons walking around that will deal a bit of a punch, but if you can dodge around them, they shouldn't be too tricky to fend off. Of course, there's things like hunting throughout the game, with boars giving you good leather, and of course deers, which will help you summon the first bosses, as we'll get onto a little bit later. And I just want to state that this is an experience from a new player, someone that hasn't put tens or hundreds of hours into the game yet, but has played enough to get an idea of what this game is about. It's more of a first impressions for me, because I'm really looking forward to making more videos on this game to find all the intricate details and what this game has to offer. So, how does the game start? Well, of course, there's character creation, as you would expect. Once you've loaded in with your friends, you're carried by eagles to an altar. Here you'll find your pet bird who, look, you gotta get used to him, but he'll get annoying after a while. He gives you hints on certain parts of the game, but Jesus Christ, you might find it better if you just punch him every time you see him. Dotted around the maps, you'll find more of these altar types, but these aren't the same. There's something different about them. And this is where you summon the first bosses, a stag-like creature who, for some reason, has lightning for horns. Of course, based on Viking and Norse mythology, you're going to get these incredibly wild bosses. First is summoned by 2 deer trophy heads. Once put them in the pillar, a cloud of smoke will lift, and there is the first opponent. It takes quite a lot to take these guys down. They're not necessarily the most armored in the world, but especially the first boss does a lot of damage. We found it was better using clubs and shields, since blocking the attacks was pretty effective, at least with this first boss. Using the lightning antlers and of course that area of effect attack when he's stomping down with the hooves. But we were able to do it, and we managed to kill her. Now this is where you get antlers and trophies. The antlers can be used to craft better equipment like pickaxes and so on, and the trophies can be used to progress throughout the game. Now you will find you're going to have to fight some of the bosses multiple times to get enough, especially depending on how many people are in your party. However, once you've killed the first one and you're able to slightly upgrade, then the next one's easier, and every one you go along gets easier and easier as you get better and better. Upgrading your skills is pretty easy. It's not done in some sort of upgrade tree, but just passively as you go throughout the game. If you punch things, you upgrade your hand-to-hand combat. If you mine things, you upgrade your mining. If you jump, you upgrade your jumping, and so on and so on. And we did find that one of the easiest ways to upgrade your punching skills at the beginning was to, punch each other. The server automatically doesn't have friendly fire, and I think it is something you can turn on, but if you don't, just punch each other, and you will upgrade very, very fast.
Right, so this is a bit of an exploit already.
What do you mean, mate? We're supposed to be overpowered. I'm going to go through this entire game just punching. That is all I'm doing now.
But why is this game so popular? Why has it got so many overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and how did it come out of nowhere? Well, some people's theories is that it's all fake, that the reviews are all scams and they're all not to be trusted and the developers are in some type of scheme. I think that's ridiculous. The game is actually incredibly good, and whilst I haven't put as many hours in as some other people have, I'm starting to get my grips into it. And this is what the game does. It draws you in and it gets you playing for hours and hours on end. It brings back that addicting nature that games like Rust have done in the past. These survival games like The Forest have managed to make this platform that Valheim has taken and shoved into another world. I think putting it into a mythical and fantastical universe only enhances it. It takes away any historical relevance, yet it makes exploring exciting. I'm excited to build a raft, go out into the sea and see what we can find. All the different monsters and creatures that will be laying around every corner. I've spoken to people that already have 50, 60 hours in the game and they're finding creatures that they never knew existed. You see, this world is procedurally generated, which means that every game is completely different. You'll never get two of the same types of maps, and it means that every single nook and cranny around every corner, around every boulder will be completely different to something that you've seen before, meaning that the enemies won't be the same, the way you play it won't be the same, and the progression will be new every time. And it has been a while since we've got a true procedurally generated game. They were a massive thing back in 2013 and 2014, yet it seems like the procedurally generated IP has fallen off. Maybe people have forgotten how to do it properly, but the Valheim developers sure haven't. This seems like a game that has been worked on for years, and whilst it is still in early access, the amount of content is mind-blowing. If you think about it, you can do it. The crafting recipes are endless, to the point where sometimes they get a little bit overwhelming. If you want to build it, you can do it. The building mechanics are intuitive, they're well done, and they're not too complicated. They've done it in a pretty simple way that means that you can build these massive structures without putting too much of your life aside. Valheim is very fast-paced, at least for a survival game, and I think that's the draw. I think that's why people are so addicted to it already, and why everyone has so much love for this game, because every time they play it, they're doing something else. They're not waiting for anything, and I think that's what's important. You don't want to be waiting for the game. The game should do what you want it to. And Valheim does that perfectly. Now, don't get me wrong, I am very aware that this is just a first impressions video. My ideas and thoughts after playing it for a few hours with some friends, but I'm going to be going way more in depth in this. I'm going to be making so many more videos looking at all the intricate details and the progression and, of course, the future of what the developers are planning with this game. So please make sure you subscribe if you want to see more of it. However, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.